Today we're in the cold city of Sydney, where I'll be conducting an interview with Ken Luong, our recent champion of the Pokémon Sydney VGC Local tournament that was held at Alliance Games in Kingsford last week. This event was special as we debuted Regulation D, the new official Pokémon competitive format, and this event was one of the first to be held in person. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more content. G'day Ken, how you going?
Yes, I'm good.
Good?
So I feel amazing today.
Yeah? How's the weekend been for you?
Got some work to do and now got some free time at the weekend for relaxing, doing my housework and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful. Housework never stops, does it?
Yeah, it is.
So you're currently the local champion here at Sydney right now. How does that feel?
It feels amazing to be the first Sydney local championship. I mean, I heard that we haven't been organizing the local for 6 years.
Yeah.
And definitely something so amazing.
Yeah, 6 years has been a long time. Back then, 6 years ago, I didn't know much about organizing tournaments. I only know about competing. So I'm glad that I was able to host for you guys. And we did have a great night that night.
And you hosted amazingly as well.
I appreciate that. So how's that trophy going? Have you shown it to everyone that you know and family and friends, or?
Yes, definitely. I show it to my friend, my co-worker, and even especially my VGC friends in Vietnam. I mean, they really admire the coat. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Something to remember when you get old.
Definitely.
For sure. Now, tell me, your team consisted of 6 Pokemon from Regulation D.
Yeah.
What new Pokemon that you introduced for your team?
So, for my team that I use for the local, the idea was started with Galarian Moltres. So I want to setting up with some screen setting with Grimmsnarl and figure out that we need some counter with the Urshifu matchup that is really rising at the moment. So I choose Good Draw with Shell Armor, but with a simple Shelter or Acid Armor, it will be undefeatable in front of Urshifu. Yeah, and seeing that it needs some counter method in front of Among Us, so I choose Cresselia for the healing, supporting, and removal of the stated conditions. And yep, for the 5th slot, I need a physical attackers and poke enough with or without screen settings, so I choose Iron Hands with the short stance. And as you can see, it's performed really well for the last match.
I can see the Iron Hands is just unstoppable.
It's carrying the whole my whole day like that.
And as soon as you get the Swords Dance off, it's pretty much Drain Punch, Wild Charge into everything, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And for the last slot, I'm still testing out on that, but currently I found that Among Us can be a backup instead of Cresselia for giving out some redirections or healing as well. Yep.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. Now, before we go into more Pokemon stuff, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm Ken. From Vietnam, so I came to Australia for 3 years ago for my postgraduate study, and of course I was really hoping to, by coming to Australia, I was able to compete in official Pokemon event like VGC events. Like it's my dream since I was in Vietnam. That's because we don't have access to the official tournament, so Australia is the best chance for me. Yeah,
and you've got all the big tournaments like OCIC in Melbourne, Perth, and also Sydney Regionals. It's a shame that Brisbane didn't have the VGC, I think, in 2022 last year, but they just had the TCG that I believe. But it's good that you were able to go to Melbourne and Sydney, right?
Yeah, so I OCIC in the very first official event that I attended.
Yeah.
So I went to Melbourne and I got standing, quite not able to get into top cup, but I got like 38 standings. Yeah, that's give me like 130 point CP point for OCIC, and then I attended Sydney Regional, which I got the top 15. not being able to get into the top cut, but still I got 80 points, which give me just enough points to be able to qualify for World.
Yeah.
And that is so good.
Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned you are from Vietnam. Whereabouts in Vietnam did you grow up?
I'm from the middle of Vietnam. I live in a city near Da Nang City, which is Quang Ngai City. So most people know Vietnam for Ho Chi Minh or Saigon, but I live in the middle.
Live right in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. And we were having a chat before about the Pokemon scene in Vietnam. Can you tell me what it's like in Vietnam, the Pokemon scene?
In Vietnam, the Pokemon scene is not so accessible. I have to say that as you can see, we don't have any region option for Vietnam in any official Pokemon games. So and for official event, we don't have that many. So if we still have a VGC player page or TCG player page in Vietnam. There are communities out there, and people are still playing Pokemon and really they're hoping to attend the official event if it can take place in Vietnam in the future.
Yeah.
But at the moment, people just like me, they go study abroad or they traveling and they may get a chance to enter the local tournaments.
Yeah. So you tell your parents you're going to go study, but you're actually going to go play Pokemon.
I'm not, definitely not like that. It's just like a chance. Your main purpose is to study.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to spend up your time with your hobby as well.
No, for sure. Yeah. So what was your journey into Pokemon? When and how did you start?
I guess I've been to Pokemon since I was 5 when I first saw it on the TV. Yeah. And the more I enjoy the show, I found that I'm really into the Pokemon battles. And when I found out about the games, I figured out that I start with single battles, and the more I play it, I found out that the official competition is more about VGCs. We need the double battles. So it was around 2015. I started to learn how to play VGC on Pokemon Showdown, of course, because at that time I still don't have access to a Nintendo DS or Switch. Yeah. So it took a while, but I've been playing VGC for a long time. Yeah, but not until this year I was able to attend the official one.
Yeah. And what was the first game that you started playing in terms of Pokemon when you actually got the DS or maybe the emulators online?
I first played on the emulator with Pokemon Red and Green. That was long time ago.
Red and Green. So that was before Red and Blue, or before when Blue came out. So that was like the old school.
I first played Red and Green, but actually, it's before.
Yeah. So you have been invited to the Pokemon World Tournament in Japan. That's going to be hosted at Yokohama. How has your preparation been going for that?
So far so good. So in terms of flight ticket, accommodation is all sold out.
Yeah.
And for the most important part, the team preparation, I still have some final testing on that, but hopefully I could be ready.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. What are you looking forward to the most in Japan on the competitive side?
Since this is my first time travel to Japan, so I think my main purpose would be enjoy the plan for travel mostly.
Yeah.
But in terms of competing in Pokemon, if no pressure, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to play.
Yep.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself and actually just enjoy the game instead of having to worry about too much, because you're there playing for a long time. On day one. Could be like 6, 7, 8 hours just non-stop playing, and if you make it to day 2, which you hopefully will, I'll say which you will rather, it's another 5, 6 hours of gameplay to make it to the top cut. So it's stressful, but if you take the pressure out of it and just have fun and enjoy it, I think
it's worth looking forward to.
That's the best way to play it, I believe. What about the social side? Have you done much research on Japan? It's your first time, right?
Yeah, maybe first time, but I have my Vietnamese friends that we haven't met for so long, and
Yeah.
they are working and living in Japan. So they are accompany with me when I will be in Japan.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
should be good.
Yeah, good to hear. Good to hear. As a competitive player, what aspects of the game do you find most challenging, and how do you overcome them?
The ability to calling out make the good call during the match is the most difficult decision to make. Yeah, but overcoming it, I don't think I am able to, because I mean it's the same to the other players. Sometimes you can't not make a good call, but what you can do is like you try to avoid the worst situation that can happen during the matchup. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's hard to make those right calls because there's also the introduction of terror types. So,
Definitely.
so what you could be like faking out like a Chen Pao that might terror type into a ghost, and you've just missed an opportunity to
Sure.
kill it, and if they've made like a good move against you. So it's a bit of a mind game, isn't it?
Definitely.
Bit of a
it's
psychology mind game.
Yeah.
And especially if when it's best out of 3, you don't know if they're going to do the same thing again. So it's just kind of like this chess game,
Yes.
which has made it a bit more interesting. What do you think about the new terror type introduction?
The Terra mechanic is really interesting, and like I'm not gonna say it's more healthy or than the other mechanic, but it's a fun way to. I saw that there's a lot more Pokemon that can shine with the Terra. With
Yeah.
the Terra typing, we see a lot of unusual pick during the past regulation, and that definitely what Terra can really bring about.
Yeah, yeah. Do you tend to terror type like specific Pokemon usually, like your core, or do you just terror type just regardless of the situation? What do you? How do you kind of play out? Like, is there always kind of like, I'm usually going to terror these 2 Pokemon, or?
For that one, I think for any team they will have some specific Pokemon that need most of the time they will
Yeah.
terrorize it, but for some Pokemon they will make the Terra call for just like situational.
Yeah.
Yep. For example, in my team, I usually terrorize Iron Hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it faces the threat. I mean,
Yeah.
every single time when we bring out.
Yeah.
So that making a Terra chain is like the only option to help it survive.
Yeah, to keep it safe and
Yeah.
pull off a sweet swords dance. What do you think sets the Pokemon World Tournament apart from other competitive gaming events?
Gaming
What makes it different?
I mean outside of the Pokemon, like different games, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's like Pokemon is just like a game for everyone, and like people like juniors, we have junior, senior, and master. Well, we compete in ages category, and it is like for everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone can enjoy it, and it's like a long-standing franchise as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. So we're going to ask some Pokemon questions that are non-related to the World Tournament. Are you ready?
Yep.
What was the funniest or most interesting nickname you've given a Pokemon?
Honestly, I don't usually give nickname to Pokemon, but during the few months ago, I built a team playing around Dashburns. So it's kind of a bakery theme team, and I named the Dashburn Aspers and the Chiyus at the oven, and Amarus as the baker. So stuff like around bakery things. So I think it's the only team that I really nickname it.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. If you could have a Pokemon as a real life pet, what would it be and why?
Definitely, I would call out for Jambo and Dashburn. I'm really into dog, and so far these 2 are the best Pokemon that's inspired by the dog so far.
Yeah, fair enough. If you could have a superpower in real life inspired by a Pokemon move, which move would it be and why?
Actually, I still kind of think of any superpowers or move until now, but I would say that everyone have that move inside them, like do you know that we all know how to rest?
Yeah, yeah.
When we rest, we regain our HP, our health, remove all the bad conditions, and we went to sleep.
That's good. And you either sleep for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, or 5 turns, or 5 days.
Got 8 hours, maybe 8 turns.
8 turns. Yeah. In the Pokemon games, which one was your favorite?
So far, I think that the Generation 4, the Pokemon Platinum, is the best in terms of like experience Pokemon, visually, and of course the like all the new Pokemon that was introduced back then, and some mechanic, not in terms of competitive mechanic, but the in-game mechanic. I think it's a whole like a big change from the Game Boy to the Nintendo DS.
Yeah. No, cool. And in the Pokemon games as well, which Pokemon trainer is your most favorite?
Until now, I'm still think Cynthia, the champions, is the most favorite characters in the games for me. Like, she's just so cool, so amazing, even in anime or in the in-game series as well.
She's pretty hard to beat with her Garchomp.
Yeah, it's a challenge in the game.
Yeah,
and even seeing her performing well in the anime is so cool.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're gonna play a game called Who's That Pokemon?
Who's that Pokémon?
And I'm sure everybody knows what this game is. It usually comes on ad breaks where a blank or black silhouette of a Pokemon comes around, and you just have to guess it, and you'll figure it out. Oh, you'll find out at the end of the ad break. So we're going to start off easy, and then we're going to get a little bit harder. I think Ken is a little bit worried about this because he just said he hopes there's no tricks to be involved.
Yeah, I don't want to see any trick in the shadow, like hopefully not like upside down chicky puff or stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll definitely tell you there's no tricks at all. I made sure that I did everything appropriately here.
Well, thank
Okay.
you.
First of all, we've got this one.
It's Pikachu.
It's Pikachu. Yes, he's right. It is Pikachu. Well done.
Of course.
Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Look, I told you it's going to be easy. Who is that Pokemon?
Politoed.
Politoed is correct. Well done. Politoed is correct. One of my favorite Pokemon. Hope he comes back to set rain again. On to the next one. Who is that Pokemon?
It's Hunter.
Huntail. Pretty good. This is a pretty hard one. Most people don't get that one. Huntail. Correct. Who is that Pokemon?
It's Quaxar.
Quagsire. Okay. Yeah, actually, you're wrong. It's actually Pikachu.
You're lying to me. And now you see.
Okay, that was the only funny one. I thought I'd throw that in there. Okay. Who is that Pokemon? You're wrong. It's actually Pikachu.
It looks so
It's actually Pikachu.
It's not even look like Pikachu. It's not even look like Pikachu.
This is kind of a harder one. I've removed most of the body and I've left its head. So you have to try to guess what the Pokemon is just by its head. I'll show you the head now. Okay. And I'll show the camera.
Kind of a challenge, but
Yeah.
Chikorita?
Have another guess.
Wait, was that Iron Tusk?
Nope. Give you one more guess before you can reveal it to the camera.
Cannot think of any. Was that Iron Tusk? Is the only thing. It's my final answer.
Okay, no, it's not. You can reveal it now.
Oh my god, it's Executor.
It's Executor. I removed all his heads and I just gave him one head and a mohawk. All right, Ken, it was a pleasure to have you on today's video. It is my first interview doing it, so I appreciate your patience with me. It's been honored to host you during the tournament. You performed really well, and I did remember that you were actually wanted to leave the tournament early because it was about 11 o'clock-ish, and you said, "Oh, I had to go to work," and you told me, I was like, "Oh, I need to go home." I was like, "Oh, are you sure? Like, if you do go home, the other person does progress," and then you stuck it out and you ended up winning. So this was during top 8. So yeah, how did you feel during that time?
Like I mean, my battery definitely was out. I mean, there's nothing left. But seeing that, if I drop out now, I will end up in top 8. That quite doesn't worth my effort, and And if I keep playing and drop out, it's kind of not respecting the other player as well. So yeah, I end up staying
Yeah.
until the last.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you so much for the video. All the best. I'll see you in Worlds, man. Take care.